like over 200 million of us in this country that are poor. Then there's like 50 million people who are reasonably okay. Whoa. Let me even back up a little bit. This is the daftest thing I've ever had to live through in my life. You will have this rage inside you that everybody knows this could be better. Everybody knows it would be extremely convenient if... Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Good Living Podcast. This is your man, Coke Boy, and this episode is sponsored by Aura Nigeria. Today, there is something on my mind. Something has happened in the last few days in the town where I live. The governor has put a ban on all outings and events beyond 10 p.m. And as a result, prostitutes who stand on the road can no longer make a living. And bars and clubs and those places can no longer have customers fill up their, places because police will come and pack everybody, as they have done in some places. And that aside, there is also a war on cybercrime and cultism, is what they call it. But what it actually is just giving police and law enforcement the leeway to just profile young people and arrest them and pack them. And I don't know what they do with them after, but it doesn't go any short of harassment and extortion. And this is not to say that the idea behind these movements are wrong, because this governor has actually been very active in the things that he's been doing. He's been what's the word they call it again? He's been making roads, he's been constructing roads. He's constructing a flyover currently. And I don't know what policies has been put in place that that I'm not aware of. But generally, I think he's been working. And this is another good idea of his. I mean, at least in his head, it's a good idea. But I think the way it's been carried out is a bit backward. And it's the same way with everything else in this country in terms of the operation of things. I think we do things operationally backwards in this country. And this is not even about bashing the state government. This is a federal government issue. And I'm going to explain this thing with an example. A few months ago, my father was sick and he was hospitalized for a couple of months. And it was then that my eyes got open to just how bad the systems are in this country. It is 2024, and there is no mechanization. Let me not call it mechanization. Mechanization is for agriculture. There is no modernization or technology whatsoever used to make the lives of citizens easier. There are like over 200 million of us in this country that are poor. Then there's like 50 million people who are reasonably okay. And those poor people have to depend on the government for healthcare or government hospitals for healthcare. And the little thing that the government can do to make life easier for these people who are already poor and starving and broke, they wouldn't do it. Sorry, let me stop beating around the bush. When it was time to do certain things like submit files and documents from one place to another, you had to do it manually. So if you go and you want to pay... Whoa. Let me even back up a little bit. This is the first thing I noticed that was very inconveniencing in the Federal Medical Center. If you wanted to make a payment, whatever the amount is, you had to bring cash. This is the daftest thing I've ever had to live through in my life. You will have this rage inside you that everybody knows this could be better. Everybody knows it would be extremely convenient if you could just have a POS for the government and put it in that cashier's office so somebody can use their card and pay, or at least transfer into it the way everybody transfers to money points when they're buying fuel or doing one thing or the other. But you have to go out, look, and this hospital, as federal medical centers often are, this hospital is somewhere far away from town, it's in the outskirts. And you have to look for a POS that will give you 100 and something thousand to pay for a surgery or do stuff like that. And as long as you stay in the hospital, every single payment you make has to be in cash. Is highly inconveniencing, and this is a problem that every single patient and their loved ones in the hospital has to go through. And it can be avoided if they will just have the small sense and initiative to take electronic payments. Then that aside, there is also the issue of transferring things physically from one place to another. For example, if your doctor has signed off on something and you need to go to the lab to get it done, you will have to physically take it from the nurse that gave you to the lab They will read your file, you will explain to them again what the problem is, and then they will now do the thing, and then they will now give you back to go to this other place. In 2024, where any reasonable hospital with anybody that has sense, with any government that has money and has compassion for their people, would simply make it easy. You know, everybody that works in these places are educated. At least you should have, even if it's O level or HND or a degree, you should be able to be computer literate. Because it's not today that people started needing people to be computer literate to give them jobs. Since I was a child, people. I mean, I was around 7, 8, or 9 when I started doing computer lessons because everybody thought computer was the future when I was 8 or 9. Now it's AI. So since that time, people already knew that computer literacy was very important. And up until today, it's not really important in a government hospital, something that deals with life and death. So if you are computer literate and you only employ people who are computer literate, and you have a system in place where if our files are digitally stored, somebody can simply enter in what they are writing instead. Just enter it in the computer and send to the department that is relevant or the department that they need to send stuff to make stuff easy for everybody. And everybody's life will be, you don't understand, everybody's life will be made immensely easier. Everything will be much more smoother if it was done that way. And it's not only in the hospitals, in the school too. In Nigeria, every Nigerian student that did not go to a private school, one of these bougie schools, has the same experience in their school. Every Nigerian student will tell you, oh, that school, son, that school. There's a similar complaint. Everybody thinks their school is the worst. But it's all similar. It's like there's an intentional, systematic plan to oppress you from your young adult phase while you pass, if you agree to pass through uni. It's like the government has decided, you know what, we are going to torture these people in these 4 or 5 years they spend with us. Because I see no reason why when you are doing your clearance or your registration to start year 1 in any school, you will carry your file. You will print everything manually by yourself, right? It is in the system. The file is there. That fucking paper that you are holding, you can... I'm allowed to cuss on my podcast. That fucking paper you are holding was in a system that could have been downloaded as a PDF or whatever and mailed to your admin in the school. And they would have screened your stuff and mail it to mail it to your department. Your file could have been digital, every single thing. But what would they do? They will have you print every single one of them. Tell you to go to the... They will tell you to go to the bookstore and buy 3 different files and put your school fees receipt, you print it 3. Put it in 3 different files. This one, you print it 3, put it in 3 different files. Then go and submit this one here. Go and submit this one here. As if you are in 1980. In a country that has 250 million people that produces oil, the most populated black nation in the world. This is how embarrassing it is. This is how students have to suffer. And then in a school that is very, very large, as most of them are, you now have to walk from pillar to pole to be submitting files manually. And here's the annoying part. If they lose your file, you have to replace it. You will do your thing, and then when you come tomorrow and say, yes, I'm supposed to do something, my file is in this office, they don't find your file. Guess whose responsibility it is to go and look for your file? It's still yours. There's a story I have. We did an assignment one time when I was in like 400 level. There's this very arrogant but daft. He's very educated, right? He's my lecturer. He was HOD in my department for a few minutes. But it's these people that you could tell that they came from a village, and the only form of exposure they had is what they read in the textbook of the course that they are professors or doctors in. Aside that, there is almost no common sense, no compassion, no nothing. He's just arrogant because he knows book, and that is all he knows. It's those kind of people. I personally do not like the man. That's why I'm being this harsh on him. So, this guy gave us an assignment. We did it. The idiot lost everything. He lost all our assignments. It was like 10 marks or 20 marks. I mean, if you are compassionate, out of 100, you could say, I lost this thing. Maybe dash you the marks. Some people might say, but that's giving students the easy way out. Well, with the torture that we are already facing, that might be a breath of fresh air. But he did not do that. What did he have us do? He had us do the entire assignment again. This was stuff that we had to print. This is in a school where there are broke students who do not even have enough pocket money to feed. Nobody is feeding you in school, so you are buying all your food. I forget, it's not even boarding school, it's uni. And then you now have them print the assignment from scratch. every single person and submit again. And he's so arrogant about it. And how is this thing even allowed? But it's the decay from the top that is trickling down to all these places. So I won't really blame the man. It's what he learned, and what is what he thinks is okay. It's what has been permitted over time. So I'm going to go back to the governor that is doing the cybercrime fight. There is something about this issue that makes it very, very difficult to deal with. I mean, from my perspective, like the issue of picking boys and all of that. In fact, a few days ago, some of my friends were outside the gate in our compound, just outside the gate, gisting because it was hot. As bad as our country is, obviously there was no light, so it was hot that evening. It was dark, and they were outside the gate, just outside. And they had already heard that police had gone somewhere and packed boys in a public place, and there was police passing in front of our street in their van, and it's like they saw these 2 or 3 boys standing outside gisting, and they wanted to pick them up, so they stopped, and one just jumped from behind the hillocks and came down, and then my guys just just entered the gate and locked the door, and locked the police out, and they went on their way. So how exactly is that fighting cybercrime? How is it helping that if you see young boys? Let me say what I was going to say before I digress too much. We feel like food. Young boys in Nigeria at least feel like food. And you might say, but you're men. Men are the ones that really feel weak. It's women that feel weak because they are the weaker vessels, and any man can almost overpower any woman and rape her and do stuff, so they have to be protected. But at the same time, I can guarantee you that every boy feels this way. If he's walking around, if he's on bike, if he's trekking, whatever it is, if he sees a uniformed man, police especially, he feels like food. He feels like they will eat him. And the way the police look at us too, they see us like food, extortion materials. You can pick this boy up and you can squeeze small money out of him for no crime whatsoever. IGP has said police does not have the right to search your phone. And this year alone, I've had police officers threatening to search my phone twice. They failed. I'm happy to report that. But it took a lot of argument. I mean, maybe it would have been easier to give them my phone, but why would I let you break the law on me? On my head because you can. Because there's more of you and there's less of us. It's annoying. And this problem is going to be difficult to deal with, like I said, because it's only affecting one demographic. The only people that care about this issue is the young boys that it's affecting. Until it happens to your son or your brother or somebody that you love, there's no difference. Nothing is going to change, because the older men who are 40 and above, our fathers, them, this doesn't really concern them. Nobody's going to see a 50-year-old man, police, and stop and try to pick him up, because he's not a young boy. So, he doesn't fit into the demographic that is food. It is us. And that guy too is not going to fight for me, because what does he care? It's not his son that they're picking up. It's not his nephew or his cousin that they're picking up. It's just another random boy that could even be guilty, to be honest. Because these days, cybercrime is at a high. It's at an all-time high, to be honest. It's not as if they're picking up innocent people. But if you're really willing to solve the issue of cybercrime, is it not to solve cybercrime cases and punish cyber criminals and cultists very well, to serve as a deterrent and an example to those who are looking to enter that field, or those who have not been caught yet? But if you're just going to be scaring people up and down, you're just going to make everybody stay in their houses. I'm hearing one now that if you're a young boy and staying in a house that's over 500,000 naira, they're going to come and check you and ask you why. So it's like, you are supposed to be poor. And if you are not poor, then why are you not poor? You explain to us why you're not poor. You're not going to teach us, so how can we alleviate other youth from poverty by teaching us what you are doing? No. You're a thief if you are not poor. How is anybody supposed to live in a country like that when that's what happens? And so, like I said, nobody cares. The woman too doesn't care. The woman above, in fact, the woman of all gender and of all ages, wouldn't care that much. And you're not going to blame her. The women have their own issues to deal with. And until it's her son or her boyfriend, it's not really that much of an issue, There's a picture I saw where they went to a uni lodge somewhere, and it is room by room that they were searching boys. So you stay in your own house now, where you paid money to your landlord to sleep, to rest, to read your book, and to maybe commit your fraud or whatever. But honestly, jokes aside, and then they will leave law and order they are supposed to be keeping and come to your house where you're cooking food or eating or chilling with your babe or whatever and harass you, search your bag left, right, and center, slap you, before they even do anything else. And this is life that some of us are living. This is like the reality of certain people. I can tell you, you're scared to go out. You're not living in North Korea, but you cannot have a hairstyle of your choice because it's like it's a uniform for criminals. Says who? See, this is how daft the government can actually be. Who is to say the criminal cannot just barb his hair and take up the appearance of a pastor and continue perpetrating the crime? How does it help cybercrime to reduce? Because everybody else can just say, okay, they're profiling us now. If you keep short dread, they will pick you up. If you're wearing shiny clothes with that beer patch on it, they will pick you up. If you wear socks and easy wear, they'll pick you up. Those are the things. So they just stop doing that and now start dressing more corporate. But they're still committing the crimes that you say you don't want them to commit. But that's the thing. You have to watch the motive. The motive they say is to reduce cybercrime. The motive indeed is not to reduce cybercrime. It is just for extortion. It's because everybody is hungry. And if the person in power wants to establish power, if the person in power wants to show you people that he has come, he has arrived, he's going to use the hungry police officers and give them some sort of permission to extort you and put some connotation and name on it and say, yeah, we are fighting cybercrime. So tell them you are fighting cybercrime, but you can pick them up and extort them. Now, with the 10 o'clock curfew thing, I have this people will take this as a joke now, but it's not a joke. I have this pity and I feel bad for the prostitutes that used to stand on the road because food, shelter, water, and these things are essential for life. But for an adult who has had sex before, sex is also essential for some people. And for some people who do not have girlfriends who are not married, and for these people, artists, and for these people who like do menial jobs and stuff that pick up patronized roadside prostitutes on a daily basis, or from time to time, they get their own occasional dose of oil change. And when it's time for that, they go to these places where these women are standing in the middle of the night and they patronize them. They get their oil changed and the women get the money that they're out there looking for. If you've pursued everybody to go back in the house, what do? You leave a lot of men with blue balls, and then you have a lot of women who do not have a source of livelihood. They could do other things. There are better things you can do than selling your body for money. But it is what it is. That's what they are doing already. Apart from the fact that it is a sinful act to fornicate or to sell your body for money, aside that, it is not really a criminal offense. So, if you're not going to let them be, you are going to starve them at the end of the day. And then what does that do? It makes everybody go into like mobile hookup. Now, they will be forced to like clean up. The ones that have some money will do, I don't know why do I say clean up, assuming all of them are dirty. But they are substandard, that's why they stand on the road and they are cheaper. But you would have to change, they will have to change up and now start doing like the mobile hookup where it's by phone, by meetup, and those people that experienced them before cannot afford that anymore. And also the price goes up for those people who are patronizing them before. And nobody will speak up for these people. And it is the things that nobody says that I like to say. So even if it's for the sake of these people and not the scammers or the people that you think are scammers, for them, consider. I've been careful not to mention the name of any government or anything, but people who know. If you've been around, if you've been listening to the news and not watching Today, not and scrolling mindlessly on TikTok and Instagram all day, you should know what's happening in your country. And so this is the issues that we are facing. These are the issues that we are facing. Next up, we're not going to just complain and complain. We have to think of solutions to this problem in case the governor is watching, in case the people who can make a change to this problem are watching. What youth empowerment schemes have been put in place to avoid cybercrime and cultism? What has been done to take people's time away from, because in addiction they say if you are withdrawing from something that you're addicted to, you have to replace that void with something else. And so if people are already doing to cybercrime, or there's a tendency for them to go in there, you have to provide an alternative. And the reason why we are paying all these taxes and the government has all this money is to make sure that the citizens are okay, not to oppress them and be building road only. So in the UK and some other countries, they've got like youth centers where they just play table tennis, teach them stuff, all these HIV classes, all these things about prenatal sex. They just like teach people stuff. It's a youth center now. Young people just go there, play football, have fun. It's large. There's different things you can do. Just come there, you see your friends, people will have fun. There's no rules really. Just you can't do like you can't do bad stuff in there. You can't smoke, no social vices. It's just a healthy place for young people to chill and not commit crimes. There is no such thing anywhere in this state that these things are happening. So there's no replacement. So if things like that existed, then maybe you can the older generation who are already involved in this nonsense can die off, or the whatever end that they are destined for with that kind of lifestyle, they will meet it. But at least the newer generation, you can now help and put them through that system of like the youth center, and they will turn out to be better adults in the near future. We have to invest in the youth, and that's how you can like change things. Everything in this world, they change also. They change it always from the young people. It's from the young people that you can change something. If you try to change people who are already used to something, it's much more difficult. It's better to bend the tree. It's easier to bend the tree when it's young. So these youth centers are one solution. The second solution will be writing to the government. I don't know who is the minister for youth or stuff like that. I don't know whoever is the commissioner or whatever. That person can look on how unfair this situation is and then write to whoever is making these decisions on behalf of the youth, on behalf of the young people. And then the better decisions can be made to carry everybody along. Because at the end of the day, the people who you are oppressing will also become somebody in the future. Because if this is the manner in which we are going to do this thing, then a lot of innocent people are going to be harassed in the process. And people live with grudges. A lot of young people hate the police because of how they make us feel like food. So if we are treated with more respect and more love as citizens that we are, then it will be easier for us to cooperate with the government when it comes to situations like this and when it comes to eradicating these social vices and these problems. So that's another solution to this problem. And then with the mechanization part, or with the technology to make life easier in schools and in universities, it is not difficult. Every university building, government university building, has like Wi-Fi, right? Even in the hospital too, hospital has Wi-Fi. I don't know what they're using it for. Their staff are using it to watch movies on TikTok or be watch videos on TikTok. You can have a secure email network. It's not even complicated. It might just be work email that everybody will open, and there is the clinic aspect, there is pharmacy, there is cashier, there is here. Put laptop. If somebody makes a payment, or you have a document to send or anything, you can create an Excel file, you can create an MS Word file. Just whatever you're going to write in a note, write it in a mail and send. Reasonable companies do this. So all these companies, all these insurance companies, banks, and that is how they operate, and they are very effective in taking your money. So when it comes to our healthcare and our education, why can't you just do the exact same thing? Why is it so complicated? Why can't one department email another department my file when I'm trying to switch departments, and let them just make this everything swift instead of having me work under the sun with these files, risking accidents and stuff like that? So we know that these are the things that we can do. I don't think it's that complicated, and if we can do this, then I think life will be easier for everybody. Thank you very much for listening to the Good Living Podcast. Remember to patronize Aura, get your clothes done, get your fits for you, office, corporate women, and keep listening to the Good Living Podcast. See you later. Ciao.